Greetings, our esteemed viewers. I'm your host, Liwela Sasele, the Minister of Labor, Industrial Relations and Employment Creation, Honorable Utoni Nyoma, appointed a wages commission for the national minimum wage in February 2021. The commission, which comprises of representatives from the trade unions, employers' organizations, and the state, was entrusted with a responsibility of investigating all relevant industries, report and make recommendations to the minister on a proposed national minimum wage, which will apply to all employees except to related categories of employees specifically exempted by the minister in the wage order, and on related supplementary minimum conditions of employment. As a result, and of course after following due processes, approval was then granted by the cabinet for the ministry to introduce the national minimum wage, effective 1 January 2025. To shed more light on this exciting development, we are joined by our Executive Director, Ms. Lydia Ndombo. Ms. Ndombo, it is our pleasure having you today on our program, and in fact for the first time.
Thank you, Mr. Sasele, for this opportunity. Good day to the Namibian workforce and the employers alike and viewers at home. Thank you.
Ms. Ndombo, on this onset, could you give us the face of the national minimum wage and how did it come into being?
Thank you. In terms of the concept, the conceptual framework, the establishment of the Wages Commission is provided for under Part 3, not Part 3, but Part C of the Labour Act 2007, Act number 11 of 2007, from sections 105 to section 114. The Wages Commission has a mandate, among others. It has so many mandates provided for, but the one that speaks to the national minimum wage would be to investigate the terms and conditions of employment, including remunerations and reports to the minister responsible for labor for any possible introduction of a national minimum wage by setting the wage orders in Namibia. The Wage Commission should be comprises of the chairperson and at least 2, but not more than 4 additional members representing the interest of the workers and also representing the interest of the employers, and any experts that is needed in the view of the minister that will add value to the composition of the Wages Commission, and that the ministry has a responsibility to actually provide for the secretariat that will do the logistical work and administrative work for the Wages Commission. And I must also say that this is not the first Wages Commission that was constituted. There has been other commissions that were established, the famous one being the one that recommended the wage orders for the domestic workers. And on the question of how did this national minimum wage came into being, I would say that Article 95I of the National Namibia Constitution stipulate that the state must promote the welfare of the people, which means that the state must adopt policies aimed at ensuring that workers are paid a living wage, adequate and sufficient enough to maintain the decent standard of living, and also enjoy the social and cultural protections, the social protection of the workers. We are also saying that Section 13 of the Labour Act empowers the minister responsible for labor to set minimum wage, national minimum wage or wage order after considering any report with recommendations from the Wages Commission. I think that's basically what I would say in terms of how did it came by. It is made for under the Labour Act.
Thank you very much. And how were the rates determined?
This rate, the rate of $18 per hour, was really determined after some analysis, some presentation made by the key stakeholders that were consulted. You know, the Wages Commission went out throughout the whole country. They received written presentation, oral presentations from the social partners, the workers, the representative of the employers, and also any interest person. So they went out and then get all the information. Also look at the statistical information that is available in the country. Information that also came from the Labour Force Survey of 2018. Information and administrative data that are available that has to do with informalities in Namibia. We also look at the international perspective from the International Labour Organization, where we have sought the technical advice after we received the Wages Commission report. And then 18 Namibian dollar per hour was then recommended in 2022 March, when the report was submitted to the minister. And that the ministry also then deliberated on the matter, also that the ministry consulted or reached out to the Tripartite Labour Advisory Council, and they have also advised the minister to say we should go by the $18 that has been proposed by the Wages Commission, although it was proposed in 2022, considering the time that has lapsed. We thought it's fair enough just to stick to that, because of the effect also of COVID-19 pandemic that have affected the economy so much so that we just have to keep it at 18, and we look at the review as years goes.
The wage order indicates that the wages for domestic and agriculture workers will be phased in over a period of 3 years. Is there a reason to that effect?
Yes, definitely there is a reason to that effect. These two sectors is predominated by, say, unskilled labor and workers that are receiving mostly the lowest salaries per se, although we have collective agreements and we have a wage order for domestic workers. They are not really receiving the wages that we aspire. So in the case of the agricultural workers and the domestic workers, their salary are very low, or their wages, and it's very low than the set national minimum wage. Therefore, for us to keep their employment and also just to alert their employer to gradually move to the rightful national minimum wage, the phase-in will be done as follows. For the domestic workers who are currently entitled to a minimum of $9.03 per hour, the national minimum wage will be phased in as follows. Come January 2025, it is expected that a domestic worker must be paid a minimum of $12 per hour. And in year 2, that will be January 2026, the amount is expected to increase to $15 per hour. And then in year 3, that will be January 2027, the 18 Namibian dollar per hour will come to play, and that will give us a full realization of a national minimum wage for those categories. For the agricultural workers who are currently paid $6 per hour, the national minimum wage will be phased in as follows. Come January 2025, they will be entitled to a $10 Namibian dollar per hour. And in 2026, January, this $10 will be increased to 14. And in year 3, which will be January 2027, they are expected to be paid at least the $18 per hour. And this amount for the agricultural workers and any other worker does not include the in-kind payment, what they call food rations. So it's only the amount itself. If they are to add those other in-kind payment, food, whatsoever, it's not part of this 18 Namibian dollar. But I must also say that there is a sectoral wage for the security guard. However, this one is not going to be phased in, seeing that it was found that security guards are really suffering and they are really protecting valuable properties. And for them, an 18 Namibian dollar per hour should take effect January 2025. And I must also say that the minister did not exempt any category of employment from this national minimum wage, because if he exempt any category, it means that it's not a national minimum wage anymore. It will be again called sectoral, because it will only be applied to some sectors of economy. So for that, no category has been exempted. All categories has to comply with the national minimum wage, either $18 at one go or phase in, as I have explained.
What inspired Namibia to introduce the national minimum wage?
I must say that Namibia is not inspired to introduce this national minimum wage, but Namibia is obliged to set a national minimum wage. Namibia has just complied with the provision of the National Supreme Law, which is the Constitution of the Republic of Namibia. We are obliged to protect the rights of the workers. We are obliged to set the minimum wage, national minimum wage, and that the social partner should also just negotiate for more. The government will set the minimum, but then the social partner must negotiate more favorable condition of employment for their members. The term itself, Mr. Sasele, says national minimum wage. It's national minimum and not national maximum. So the social partner must really negotiate and have more favorable condition of employment for the workers. Namibia is also signatory to international labor standards as set out in the International Labor Organization, and we have ratified conventions that speaks to either right to collective bargaining or equal remuneration conventions, also issue of discrimination in employment and occupations, and those conventions are still in force, and we are obliged to set a national minimum wage. And this national minimum wage will be adjusted or reviewed after every 2 years, which means that it will consider any emerging issues, also the inflation that will take place, and that a new wages commission will be constituted to relook at how the implementation has been. Are we supposed to review and adjust, or should we remain as such? And that employers or no employer is allowed to reduce the minimum wage that they are providing to an $18 because there is that set. But they have to keep it up and they have to negotiate for more. So as I said, it's a minimum and not a maximum.
Thank you. We already have minimum wages in some sectors, such as in agriculture, construction, security, and domestic workers. What will happen to these minimum wages?
Yes, we do have collective agreements in those sectors that you have indicated. The collective agreement for construction industry will continue, as it is currently higher than the 18 Namibian dollars per hour that the government has set. And I really applaud this sector for taking these initiatives to negotiate with their workers' representatives and agree to a set per hour that is very high than the national minimum wage. However, for agriculture and the domestic work, those collective agreement and the wage order that is applicable will have to fall away, and the national minimum wage will be implemented as from 1st of January 2025, as I have indicated earlier. I'm also still encouraging the parties to negotiation to negotiate for more favorable benefits for the workers. As I indicated, the welfare of our workers, the social protection of our workers need to be recognized, and the workers must also produce to a maximum so that employers realize profit and diversify their productivity and production so that workers remain employable and that they create more employment.
Of course, not all employers will have the capacity to be able to implement this national minimum wage. Is there any way to relax them from the requirements of complying with the wage order on the national minimum wage? And if so, what are the procedures?
Okay, on that one, yes, the room is not closed completely. The notice in the government gazette that was issued on the 7th of August 2024 has indicated that the employers and workers alike can apply for exemption from the minister, provided that they have done in-depth consultation with the affected parties and their representatives, and that the ministry will investigate further. The ministry may also co-opt or approach other statutory body to look at the issue of the application for exemption, but each case will be treated on its own merit, and then an outcome will be provided to any employer or workers that apply for exemption. Sometimes they may think, if we pay this 18 Namibian dollar, perhaps we are not going to keep all the jobs, but we need to investigate and really find out whether this employer cannot pay, because we may even require them to open up financial books so that we look at what comes in, what are the expenses, and what is left before we really arrive at the decision of exempting them. So what we want to inform the social partner is to say, before they apply for exemption, they must make sure that they have done their homework, that they are really convincing the minister responsible for labor to actually grant them the relief that they are seeking.
We know that the trade unions are supposed to negotiate the benefits of their members. Now, with the introduction of the national minimum wage, does it mean that collective bargaining will become a thing of the past?
No. I have already explained that, to say this is just a minimum, and collective bargaining mandate should continue. In fact, it must be strengthened, because that's their mandate. They are there for the welfare of their members, and the employers must also take care of their workers. So they need to negotiate in good faith and improve the welfare of the workers. We need workers that are socially protected. There must be pension, perhaps. There must be medical aid. There must be transport allowances and any other benefit that an employer may provide to the workers. So all in all, they must just strengthen their collective bargaining mandate. It is still going to be there.
Of course, it will be a marathon for the ministry to ensure effective enforcement. Is the ministry ready in this regard? And how is it going to ensure compliance?
We know that everything that comes with benefits and also coupled with challenges. You are right. However, the ministry has put some measures in place. Some are medium-term, some are long-term measures to strengthen the inspectorate division. One, by budgeting for more positions of labor inspector starting 2025-2026 financial year and beyond. Also, we have selected some regions that we have identified to allocate administrative heads at the level of a deputy director to have more decisional powers to prepare for the delegations of labor function in the decentralization process, but also to make decisions as they are going to inspect establishment out there. We have also undertaken education and awareness campaign on this national minimum wage across the country. Our team are out in the region there. In fact, what we are doing today is one of it, to actually educate the nation, to educate the workers, so that they know what is coming come January 2025. We need more champions to lead these initiatives. We need more advocacy to speak to the issue of national minimum wage. Come January 2025 is implementation. And as I indicated, we are signatory to the International Labour Organization. After, say, 2 years or 2 years of implementation, we need to report as to how we have perhaps implemented this. So we are good to go, and I believe the workers and the employers alike will join us in this campaign, so that everybody else understands the importance of the national minimum wage and the compliance thereof.
Is there any specific provisions to address non-compliance?
Yes, I think the rules are very clear. Addressing non-compliance will be dealt with through issuing of compliance order by inspected establishment management, and the recommendations to improve on the condition of employment and the issue of occupational health and safety by workers. It will be dealt with, and also our labor inspectors and inspectors for industry will be training the employers and the workers alike. Those that have been trained may be retrained, and that they will also caution them if they are not complying with the law. So all in all, enforcement of compliance order will be strengthened by conducting follow-ups inspection, and also use or provide some penalty that are provided for in terms of the law. Everything that we do is in line with the Labour Act and regulations that are made in terms of the Labour Act.
Madam Edie, any concluding remarks?
Yes, I just want to urge the nation, more specifically the Namibian workforce, the employers and the workers' representative. They should really rally behind the government of the Republic of Namibia to create awareness, to follow the ministry's program that speaks to all other programs, not only the national minimum wage. They must also visit our ministerial stalls at the window showground that is currently on, and at any other trade fair, expos, any career events, any national events that is taking place. People must come to the Ministry of Labour headquarters, also in the region, so that they hear more of what the Ministry of Labour is doing. And as I said earlier, we are looking for champions. We need champions also for this first of its kind, the national minimum wage. I think if we are putting efforts together, we will be able to deliver on what we have planned in terms of the national minimum wage. And I think we have the support of them. They just need to come forward. I thank you.
Of course, the introduction of the national minimum wage is a step into a right direction, and indeed a realization of Article 95 of the Namibian Constitution, which stipulates that the state should adopt policies to ensure that workers are paid a living wage adequate to the maintenance of a decent standard of living and the enjoyment of social and cultural opportunities. And not only that, but also a fulfillment of the Harambee Prosperity Plan number 2 for 2021 to 2025, which committed to determine the basic wage floor through public consultations with a view to introduce a national minimum wage across all economic sectors, and was supposed to be by 2022. I hope you followed this discussion attentively, and should you have any query on the introduction of the national minimum wage, please do not hesitate to drop up a comment on the comment section or email us at publicrelations.officer@mol.gov.na. Join us again next time as we bring you yet another educative and informative topic. From me, Liwela Sasele, is goodbye.